It was tough then. Obviously, it's always been a male-dominated environment, and I moved around different organizations. But throughout that growth, there were times where in meetings, people will not even ask me for my opinion, but it took somebody who believed that I got what it takes to give me an opportunity. And through, again, hard work, I was able to show my value. Like everybody else globally, we are on a digital transformation journey.
This episode of ITWeb TV is brought to you in association with ITWeb Security Summit, the must-attend gathering of IT, security, and business decision makers. Visit itweb.co.za for more information. Welcome to ITWeb TV. Today we are privileged to be joined by Keneilwe Gwabeni, who is the Chief Information Officer of insurance firm Assupol. Welcome to ITWeb TV, Keneilwe.
Thank you very much, Maya. It's such a great honor to be invited here today.
Hi, I'm Professor Victoria Baines, and I'm one of the keynote speakers at the forthcoming ITWeb Security Summit. Catch me on the 28th of May in Cape Town, where I'll be exploring cyber warfare and state-sponsored cyber attacks. How are attacks evolving? What is the impact of political tensions and conflicts on cybersecurity? And with elections around the world in 2024, what's next? Join me to find out.
Awesome. Keneilwe, you are someone who has been like a CIO for some time. I understand you are coming from Telcom. Now you are at Assupol. If you can just tell us what is the difference between working for a telecommunications company like Telcom to moving to Assupol?
Wow. There's a lot of differences, obviously from a domain perspective, because Telcom deals with telco. It's about connectivity and voice, whereas Assupol is really on insurance, and Assupol focuses on life insurance. So we do funeral insurance, life insurance, pension funds, etc. Again, Assupol is smaller than Telcom. So, again, that's where the differences come. In Telcom, it's a large corporate, whereas Assupol is a medium to large company. But the biggest difference for me at Assupol, not just with Telcom, but the rest of the corporate environments that I've been at, is mostly driven by the people. So it's all about the customer. It's all about the team. Before we can even go back to targets and revenue and talking about the financials and costs, which is quite refreshing, that whenever we strategize, we just look at what does it mean for the customer, what does it mean for the team internally. And then once you take care of the people, the Assupol's motto is serving those who serve. And the culture, the strategy really speaks to that. It's really people-focused culture, which is refreshing. You'll hear maybe in our conversation, if we get to that point, on some of the work that we're doing in line really with our customers and our teams internally.
Awesome. So from a digital point of view, what are some of these works that you are working on at the moment at Assupol?
Like everybody else globally, we are on a digital transformation journey. We are looking at improving the level of service that we give to our customer. That's really the whole point of us transforming our business from manual analog-based operations to digital business, is that when our customers engage with us and interact with us, it must be a flexible, convenient, and they must be able to do that anyway, the comfort of their homes. Especially when you look at a lot of our customers, they are still in the rural villages, in small towns, and they're still required to walk long distances, to go catch a taxi or a bus, to just go submit a claim at a branch in town. So part of the digital transformation is aimed at making it easy for our customers to access our products and services, but also for our own teams. The sales agents' life or well-being, their family, they depend on the income they generate from these commissions from selling these policies, right? So where the digital transformation piece of work that we're doing from a sales perspective is to making sure that it's easy for a sales agent to go out there and sell a lot of policies, sell them faster, because it's directly linked to their livelihoods and their families' well-being. So that's what I meant, when I say everything really is people-focused.
Yes.
So for me, I'm quite new in insurance, like we said, but my observation so far is that there are two key functions of an insurance business. Is to sell the promise, to keep our doors open for business. You have to generate revenue somehow. Secondly, is to fulfill the promise that we sold through the payout of the claims that the customers submit. So that's where we're focusing from a digital transformation perspective to making sure that our customers can submit claims on multiple digital channels. Like I said, it's flexible, it's convenient. They don't have to spend a lot of money just to go and submit a claim. And for example, I told you we in the funeral insurance space, and when customers submit a claim, it's really because they are in a very difficult time.
Yes.
So we have to make that process very easy for them so they can then spend time and energy on fixing or preparing for the burial and send off of their loved ones.
Also, just to understand, some CIOs usually say their budgets are not really adequate to carry out their duties. Are you also witnessing the same? Or if you can just tell us, how much budget do you have as the CIO of Assupol?
I must say I was very lucky that there's very clear alignment and understanding of the drive and the benefit of digital transformation at Assupol. There's buy-in across the organization from the leadership. There's buy-in from the CFO, very supportive and understanding of why we need to do what we need to do. Also, very refreshing that at the board level, digital transformation is one of the top items on the agenda. And it's not just being spoken about. There's work that's been done. There is resources that have been allocated to enable us to implement and achieve our strategic aspirations as far as digital transformation is concerned. But what you're saying is true. Throughout my career, I've had experiences of such at Maya, where you find that innovation and digital transformation, it is done. There is focus on it. However, when an organization faces financial constraints, when we have to cut the costs, that's the first area that we look at to cutting, because it's always been seen as value-added services that we do in addition to the core business. But now times have changed. COVID has forced us to move faster into the fourth industrial revolution, where digital transformation is now part of the core. So at Assupol, that's very clear, and it is really seen as part of the core. It's a great enabler for us to support the achievement of the overall organizational strategic objectives, which is, again, first one, to improve our customer service levels and the customer experience, but also to grow the business and provide Assupol with a competitive edge. I mean, if we don't do this, we're very aware of what the impact is. I mean, the world is moving forward. We really have to be on par with our competitors and the rest of the world. Otherwise, our customers will really leave and go to somebody else who can provide them a better service. Yeah.
Speaking of the competition in your industry, the insurance, there's also these smaller and nimbler insurtech companies that are emerging. Are they presenting any serious competition to established players like yourselves?
I always say every business in these days is a digital business. And the advantage that the smaller insurtech and fintechs have is they don't have the historic legacy issues that the large corporates that we face have. We are a over 100 years old company. Of course, there was investment in the technology space that when we move into the digital environment, we have to take consideration of we have to modernize our applications as part of digital transformation. But then there's a lot of data that comes with that, historic data that we have to migrate. And you find it's scattered in multiple areas. We have to put it together, structure it. We have to make sure it's accurate. We have to ensure its integrity. We have to make sure, we comply to regulatory requirements from that perspective. So there's a lot of work that we have to always do before we can be where they are. They don't have the legacy issues. They don't have the overheads, even from a cost perspective, so they move quicker. Everything is digital, which means then the things like a better customer experience, it's quicker for them and easier for them to do. So yes, they do. They are a threat to the insurance companies. But then again, if you look at how the corporate world has changed, there's no more just one focus domain business. You find telcos are in financial services and insurance. You find banks are in insurance space. So we really are facing multiple threats from the competition perspective. But though it's a threat, it's also an opportunity because we've got the strength and the power of the brand. We've got a loyal customer base. It's then just driving our digital transformation initiatives and making sure that we improve that level of service that we provide into our customers. We also just implemented a new area that purely looks at data analytics and insights so that we learn who our customer is, we understand their requirements, so that in this drive of being a digital business, we cater for exactly what they need. And that's one of the ways really that will enable us that will place us at an advantage in comparison to our competitors.
Speaking of data and analytics, there have also been talk or studies that show that those skills are quite in short supply. The data analysts and so forth, and data scientists. Are you also witnessing that? Yeah. Or do you have perhaps maybe plans or a skills pipeline to fill in those specific roles?
They are scarce because they are in high demand. Because part of being a digital business means being a data-driven business. So that's what everybody else is doing. As such, in short supply of data scientists and data analytics specialists, etc. But we've got plans in place. We partner a lot. There are companies and partners who have invested a lot of money in upskilling and making sure that they've got teams of people who can help corporates to do this work. We're also tapping into that partnerships while we build our own internal skills. So it's really to get us off the ground and implement. And after we settled, then we will have built enough capacity internally to make sure that they move us forward. But it's an ongoing cycle. I mean, the same can be said with the digital skills.
Yes.
We were looking for developers. We were looking for mobile developers. Way back when there used to be developers just for Android. There used to be developers only for the iPhones, etc. And at some point, those skills had to merge because technology changed, and we moved into the artificial intelligence arena, where then there's ChatGPT, and then you need skills for prompt engineers, somebody who can intelligently prompt ChatGPT to get valuable outcomes. Otherwise, whatever you type in, you will get. But being used as a tool that helps also as part of digital transformation and data analytics, generative AI is very valuable tools. And then you still need those skills, people who can prompt the AI tools to get value out of the data that we get from it for our business intelligence purposes.
And are you in any way using ChatGPT, which has become like a buzzword?
Not officially. Obviously, we're exploring and seeing if there are value-adding use cases within the Assupol space. But definitely, machine learning plays a critical role in data analytics and data insights. So we're exploring some of those use cases using generative AI. It's not just ChatGPT. We've got a mix of them out there. But we're looking forward to seeing a great value out of it. But with it, remember then, we are a highly regulated environment. We have to be very cognizant and cautious of how we implement it, because the key thing that we have to do is to not expose our business and also our customer data. So that's why we're still very carefully assessing and seeing if there's really a value for us to adopting some of these tools. But as part of digital transformation, it's not really an option to say we're not going to do it. We have to. It's just how, and making sure that it's in a way that add value without exposing our business.
And others are also making use of things like your chatbots, so that there's no human interaction, unless maybe if you really need to. Are you also investing in such technologies?
Yes, no, definitely. So currently we've got multiple web portals where our customers can engage with us. So the first thing that we're busy doing now is just with our partners redesigning our web portal. After we've done and obtained customer insights and understood what is it that the customers really need from us, and we're taking that information now to have a single point of contact on the web for our customers. And that's where we're going now to be implementing chatbots, so that it's easier for customers to get answers, to have their queries responded without having to wait for the business hours, quite flexible. But internally also, we're looking at the likes of RPA to automate our internal business processes to make sure that things like having to pay out the claims quicker to our customers, we do that more efficiently and effectively. With the low-hanging fruits obviously being your straight-through processes that we can fully automate without any human intervention. Again, all this to making sure that we improve the level of service that we give to our customers.
Thanks, Keneilwe. Also, to understand, it's something that has been spoken about for some time, like the role of the CIO has changed over time.
Yeah.
I understand one of the CIOs said usually when they are in a board meeting, the other board members expect maybe the CIO to be the one who is going to fix the projector when it's not working and so forth. Are you still seeing that, or that is changed?
I'm hopeless at fixing things. Look, the role of the CIO has changed, but in my view, the transformation was really adding more responsibilities, because the initial core role, as we know it, the traditional role still remains. We still have to run IT. We still have to make sure services are available to our business and customers. Still have to keep the lights on. And then came digital transformation and innovation. Those just added onto the responsibilities of the CIO, because you cannot go to business partners and talk about innovation where the services are not available. So we have to make sure the core and the foundational pieces are in place. And then we can look at digital transformation, because technology is a great enabler. Without it, we won't be able to transform. Again, it's really to give our businesses a competitive edge. Then we bring in innovation again, so that we don't have to always be fast followers or slow followers, but we innovate again using data insights that we gain from the customer sentiments through our data analytics and insights department on what else can we do to provide better service for our customers. How else can we make it easy for them to have access to our products and services? So there's a book that I once read way back when the CIO has to be schizophrenic. It still remains. It's just been a much more complex role that it's no longer just focused in technology itself. The CIO now is a business leader. So yes, the CIO's role has transformed. A book I read once said that a CIO has to be schizophrenic schizophrenic, to be able to multitask. And so the traditional responsibilities still remain. It's just then the additional responsibilities of digital transformation and innovation, as well as being a business leader, where before a CIO was a technology leader. Now, when we transform businesses from being analog to digital means then technology leads, which means the CIO now leads the conversation, leads the strategy, enables the achievement of the overall organization strategy.
Also, Keneilwe, to get an understanding of how you got interested into IT, we have written, I don't know how many stories here about lack of gender disparities in this industry. Maybe how did you manage to crack this industry, and also maybe some encouragement to the younger generation who also want to be like you? Like, how did you manage to get into this male-dominated industry?
Hard work. When I got into IT, it was by chance, right? I remember just being interested in seeing, when you watched black and white TV, there were secretaries always typing away with this box. I'm from a rural village with no electricity, therefore never seen or touched a computer before. And when I saw that, interest grew and said, I want to know more about what this is about, what are the computers about. And my first day in class, I had not seen or touched the computer, and we walked into a computer lab. And there were these rows of computers, and already there my peers who were in the same class, first year students, were already playing games on these computers, playing solitaire, the green screen, Minecraft. Now, I'm giving away my age. I'm very young, by the way. And that knocked off my confidence immediately because psychologically I just told myself, I'm less than them. I know less than them. They know more. They're better than me. And that inspired the hard work. Okay. I made it my mission to make sure I catch up with them, to make sure that I know and be in the position where I can also play these games in the computer labs. And it's always been how I approach the studies. I worked really hard. When I finished studying, it took a while before I got a job. It's a couple of months. And during that time, instead of sitting and saying, I'll go find a job, I went to the head of department of the computer studies faculty where I studied. Then it was Peninsula Technikon. Now it's Cape Peninsula University of Technology. I asked for a volunteer job, and I was given that job to be a computer laboratory assistant. So it took me taking initiative to be in the industry, where I couldn't find a job. I had to go there and ask and to volunteer because I was well aware that it might not be a paying job. And after 3 months, an opportunity at the institution became available for a full-time computer technician. And I went for an interview with a whole lot of other people, and I was a successful candidate. Because I took that initial initiative, I could present myself better in the interviews. I understood the processes at the institution, I understood the technology. If I did not do that volunteer work, I don't think I would be a successful candidate. And I worked for the institution for about 2 years, and then I went to the real corporate South Africa in the Western Cape. I worked for Eskom as a business support officer. We were doing application support. And it was tough then. Obviously, it's always been a male-dominated environment, and I moved around different organizations. But throughout that growth, there were times where in meetings, people will not even ask me for my opinion. They did not even care what I had to say. I had one of the colleagues look at me and say, you are an affirmative action candidate, so it's okay, you don't have to do much. Without understanding my CV, that I'm a qualified IT person. I went to school. I even went and did my honors at UCT, and I worked my way, into the corporate environment. There were times where I then had to crawl under the desks to do technician work just to show that I bring value. So it had to come from me to show the value that I was bringing in. appreciating that the people at the time did not know why they did not know. It was my responsibility to make sure that I show my value, though other people were not expected to do that. But it didn't matter, right? We were in that situation. And if I didn't, if you look at a lot of my colleagues, a lot of the classmates from when I was studying, some of them decided to do business analysis, which is seen as less technical and complex as going into your raw IT. So it was through hard work and going over and above my roles and responsibility to just show my value, not to be seen as a high performer, say you've done your work well, and then you went over and above and you were fixing machines and network cables for the users. No, just to be seen. Say, oh, she's here. She's actually knows what she's doing. Average performance result, though I had to do way, way more than others and high performer. And I then carry on throughout the career ladder. I got into management positions, and that's when I realized the importance of taking advantage of platforms as these to speak about our stories, share our stories, our experiences. And if you listen to or you read the articles I've written, you listen to me speaking at events, I made it my mission to also simplify concepts.
Yes.
You see, we're talking about technology, but I avoided talking about big terms of tech.
Yes. It's for my benefit as well.
Right. So this is all to make sure that that young school girl who aspires to go into the STEM field can see that it's doable. It's something that they can achieve. If I'm here, they can be here. Simplify concepts so it's less intimidating. It's just another career, that is going to give them a brighter future, because the world is moving into the digital environment. In fact, the world has moved into being a digital environment. Everything is digital, so which means it's very, very critical now that a lot of young women are encouraged to take the STEM fields, science, tech, engineering, mathematics fields. Those will really help to balance also and change the narrative to show that women can do it. So I encourage a lot of women to come into technology and great things, that can be achieved. Women, I always say, they are much more creative. Studies have shown multiple times that because of the natural nurturing the women come with, the social leadership element of it, being able to grow a team, understanding, motivating, and being empathetic, I think that's the word, to the teams. There's always great balance, and the teams get being encouraged to do more, be more productive, because then they feel they are being heard, they are being seen, not just expected to deliver. So there's that human touch and human element that's very encouraging. But there's been research, they're proven. So you have to encourage the young girls to come into the STEM field. Yes, there were difficulties. There will always continue to be difficulties. Though I'm here, a whole lot of other women are in leadership positions in the technology field. There's still a lot of work that needs to be done. There's still a lot of gaps in the salary segmentation between females and males in the industry. So there's still continuous work that we need to do, because it's one element that's not just a career or a corporate issue. It comes from our backgrounds, from the culture where a boy child is raised to say you're superior, than a girl, you in charge. A woman, follows the rules, etc. That having to change that mindset. It's not just coming into work and doing a leadership program and it's done. Exactly. So it's continuous work. If we don't continue doing the work and talking about it, we will definitely just slide back to where we were, because guess what? From somewhere in the world, somebody's been taught that you're better than girls. You're stronger. You can do. And the girls' roles is in the kitchen. You need to be somebody's wife and raise the kids. It's still happening. So we have to continue with the work. But a lot of work, I must say, from the corporate front, a lot of women empowerment programs are paying off. But we have to continue being intentional with not just taking women onto these leadership programs, but giving them valuable leadership roles, actual jobs in the leadership teams, in the leadership roles, for them to play a part in the corporate environment, and not just saying you've got potential. You know how many times I've been told I've got potential. I'm like potentialed out. I'm leadership programmed out. But it took somebody who believed that I got what it takes to give me an opportunity. And through, again, hard work, I was able to show my value. And just one contributor in a group of many women who are changing the narrative about women in corporate and our abilities in the STEM fields.
Awesome. But is it kind of improving? I'm just thinking, I know a couple of female CIOs. I think Shifiu, I think you know here, from Palo World. I think Nomti, is it Nomti? That was it, Assupol, I think, before you. Those are and yourself, of course. Like those are the three female CIOs I can think of. Is it improving? I know there's a lot that still needs to be done to have, more representation of females in the industry.
Yeah.
Have you seen, from the days you started as you said, assistant lab technician, up to now, are you seeing kind of improvement, although we still need to do more in that space?
There is an improvement. The efforts are paying off, but we slow. We can accelerate the empowerment of women in the corporate environment, but a lot has changed from where we come from, and a lot of work still needs to be done to get us to where we need to be. So we just have to continue with the conversations. There's a lot of women in technology. I know you mentioned just the three, but there's a whole lot who are holding meaningful positions, even outside just technology, within the financial space, accounting and being a chief financial officer. It's always been also seen as a male-dominated environment. I see a lot of shift with a lot of women recently being appointed into those leadership roles across the organizations. But we can accelerate. I still believe we're doing it, but at a slow pace. So we have to just continue sharing our stories. Taking advantage of these platforms. And again, in my view, is being just here. It's not just to talk about my career and the work that we're doing in an organization, but this is a platform, again, as mentorship, as coaching, to a young girl somewhere who's watching. And as I said, the importance of simplifying concepts, sharing the story of where I come from, so that they also can see that it is possible. So the responsibility now is with us. We have made it to go fetch the young ones and make sure that they get those opportunities.
Great. Maybe my last question, Keneilwe, relates to cloud computing. We have different cloud service providers. How does a CIO actually get to settle? Maybe there's Amazon there, there's Microsoft there, there's Alibaba Cloud there. How does a CIO choose this is the best cloud for my organization?
It must be fit for purpose.
Okay.
It must be something that supports the strategic objectives. It must be beneficial and value adding for the organization. So just like any other piece of technology, before adopting it into the environment, go through full assessment of the capabilities against the requirements of the business. And once those are done, then we look at technical capabilities such as how ease of management, in balancing the loads, in plugging and playing, in at some point you have to perhaps pivot how easy it is to enable business should a strategy change for us to pivot without having to incur a lot of investments in those changes. So it looks at multiple factors, really, before we can make a decision. Like I said, like any other piece of technology, you have to assess those and just go for the one that really meet the requirements. And you find there are small little differentiators. I know a while back, you will find one hyperscaler does not have the ability for direct interaction, into the environment. And one already has. There's a lot of configuration work to be done before, the firewall changes and configs needs to be done before the service can be consumed, etc. So before you even get into those technical details, it's ready to look from a strategic perspective, the architectural aspirations, and go for the one that's really fit for purpose and adds value, aligned with the strategy of the organization. But again, for me, one of the big players is you then have to look at the reputation of the hyperscaler, the regional adoption, engage, do bit research to understand the experience from the peers in the industry with their relationship with the hyperscaler. So it's just, again, if you think about it, that's a normal assessment that we go through before you're deciding on any piece of technology. So the same really assessment work needs to be done before deciding. And as being a heavily regulated environment, regulatory requirements play a key role when we assess to making sure that whoever we partner with meet our local regulatory requirements, because all those companies, right, are overseas organizations. And then they do set up locally, but we just have to confirm things like maybe the primary environment might be local in South Africa in the region. However, should that fail, will my data now be sent overseas? And what are the regulatory requirements? What does this mean for us from that perspective? So multiple factors that one needs to look at.
And just lastly, Keneilwe, like I know there's also a role called CISO, the Chief Information Security Officer.
Yeah.
How does it differ? Is it also your role maybe as CIO of Assupol to be in charge of cybersecurity, or you also have another role as a CISO? How different are these?
So at Assupol, I am end-to-end accountable for IT, applications, infrastructure, network security, governance, the whole IT shop. And again, it makes sense based on the size of the organization and the complexity of the organization. If you go for larger corporates, banks, telcos, for example, there's a dedicated CISO in the environment because, again, the complexity and the size of the environment that one has to look after. But it's still very critical, even though it's still within the group CIO's umbrella in Assupol. We have a dedicated team that looks just after security. It's very critical, considering that with digital transformation means new exposures to the risks and the security security issues, that one might not have been exposed to when we were fully manual, on-prem, nicely controlled. As we continue to improve, to transform, the hackers continue to improve and transform.
Exactly.
So it's always a case of knowing that you can never have it 100%. When it happens to other organizations, it can happen to you as well.
Exactly.
So we have to make sure we put measures in place. There's clear focus on it to say, should it happen, touch wood, that we have done our homework, we have put measures in place to protect our environment. But it's one of those, that can happen to anybody in the industry based on the rate within which technology evolves. So even when we're doing the risk assessment, I always make it clear that you can never be fully green from an IT security perspective.
Yes.
You do what you can as much as possible and make sure that we evolve as the technology evolves. You can never really tick it off and say, I've got everything in place that I need. But very critical role, considering where the world is going now and with digital transformation.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Keneilwe. It was really a pleasure talking to you, and I'm sure what we have discussed here is going to inspire some girl out there to also become a chief information officer like yourself. Quite inspiring, and we wish you all the best. That was Keneilwe Gwabeni, Chief Information Officer at insurance company Assupol. For this and more, you can visit ITWeb TV and subscribe. Thank you. This episode of ITWeb TV is brought to you in association with ITWeb Security Summit, the must-attend gathering of IT, security, and business decision makers. Visit itweb.co.za for more information.